because I'm going to drop this onto our class. I got some cleanup stuff that we got to go through today. I went through and graded your SpongeBob projects, and I think there's only maybe two or three of you that got actually I think there's only one or two that got like a full credit, like 100%. You did exactly the way I wanted to. There are another probably 4 of you that got like a low A out of it, just because you messed up a couple little things, and then the vast majority of you need to fix a couple things. So I'm going to go over the 2 main mistakes that we've been making, so we can get them fixed up. Go ahead and do me a favor and get your notes out, get something to write on and something to write with, and I will share my screen and we will get started.
You're muted.
Mason, 25 extra credit points. Thank you so much. Okay, so when we get started, we want to make sure that we erase to the transparency grid. I can't really check that because when you turn in your file on Google Classroom, it turns in kind of like a JPEG, so I see a white background. So it's kind of hard for me to check to see if you saved it correctly or not. I just need to kind of tell you, make sure that we're all on the same page, that when you're erasing, it should be erasing to this transparency grid. Down, so like look down here. Let's see, where should go? Oh, I changed it. If I'm erasing down here, it should be erasing to a transparency grid like that. If your layer is not unlocked, then it's going to be erasing. I'm not going to erase right now, but when you erase, it'll go like this and erase to white instead, which is not what we want. So make sure we're all on the same page. That's the way it should be looking like this, okay? Second big mistake that I saw a lot of people making is when you were erasing, and we went over this the other day, you want to zoom in. Again, I can click on the zoom tool down on the bottom of my toolbar, and I can zoom into a spot. And then with my eraser, I will erase out here, and then I want to take it in and get as close as I can without erasing the outline. A number of you kind of struggle with that part, which happens all the time. That's what I was kind of looking for. I was looking to see if when you're erasing, you're going to be precise enough where you weren't erasing into that. And a lot of the SpongeBobs that I saw were kind of chunked out like this, where you're erasing it, but then you're not really paying too close attention and being like really precise, and you're like going like this and changing the size of his shoe and really kind of taking chunks away from what we want to leave. We want to make sure we leave all of that stuff there, okay? So you have to be super precise when going through and making sure that we're not messing anything up. If you end up, going right here and like achoo, and you sneeze and something go like that, you can undo it. You can go to edit and undo, or the quick key, which is Control Z, which is usually what I use. Control Z, and that will get rid of it. It's also it's what Command Z if you're on a Mac. Okay, so as I'm going like this, I make sure I'm erasing nice and clean, and I want to make sure that I am getting rid of all the color, but not getting rid of the SpongeBob themselves. Okay, that would not be a good example. So I will show you how we're going to fix that. But it takes a little bit more time. So I'm going to show this last problem because this is the biggest problem that we had. And then I'll go back and I'll show you how to fix the erasing too much part, okay? So You look up here, SpongeBob is cut out, but there's all these little extra pieces. And the vast majority of you had a comment that said something like, you didn't erase everything you needed to. Go back and make a new layer underneath the SpongeBob, make it black, and then go erase everything from the SpongeBob layer. It was really long, it was really worded, might not make sense. This is what I'm talking about when I say that. I might not be able to see this stuff, especially if I have this transparency grid on. I might not be able to see some of the parts that I've missed. What I can do is I can come over to my layer palette, right over here. It has that little thumbnail of SpongeBob. And on the bottom of my layer palette, I'm going to click on the box that's a plus sign in it that is to create a new layer. Okay, we've all done this at some point. So you should be able to see this, come up to create a new layer. And then layer 1 right here, go with my, I'll use my paintbrush. I'll make it black. And then I will get a large paintbrush. And I will go like this. Okay. I showed this example really fast last class. This is kind of making it a green screen. So you see I now have my SpongeBob layers, layer 0. I have layer 1 is an all black layer. And then what happens is if I click on the top part and drag it underneath, now I see all the things that I missed. I see all these little chunks up here. I see these little chunks of stuff up here I missed. So now if I click on my eraser and I come back to fix this stuff, I go like this. Oh, that's not correct. I did that on purpose. That's not correct. If you look at the layers, you see that I'm actually erasing my black layer. I don't want to do that. I want to erase my SpongeBob layer. So I'm going to press Control-Z, and I'm going to undo that. I click on my SpongeBob layer, and now I can come through, and I can erase. And I can erase everything. Make sure I have all these little specks and stuff gone. Okay? Now, the one thing that I have to warn you about is when I'm erasing this, I don't have to get super, super tight. I can leave a little bit of space around the outside of my outline because we're eventually going to paste SpongeBob onto another picture. And when we paste him onto the other picture, it's a lighter background. So if I go too tight, like right there, it's going to look like I've cut off a lot of it. This is just me from years and years of doing this. So now I can go like this and come through, and I can check it all out and make sure it's done correctly. And these little chunks like this right here, I can see them and make sure I get rid of them. Again, when you're cutting this out initially, let me turn the eyeball off of my black. I would cut it out here first. Okay, go through the whole process, cut the entire thing out, and then I can turn this layer on. Looks pretty good. I missed a couple spots up here. Okay, turn it back off, and then come back and recut out. And kind of check myself that way. Okay, so for those of you who I wrote the comment and I said, hey, make sure you drop a layer behind it, make it black, and then clean up all the extra stuff. You're going to be kind of freaked out. You're going to look at it, you're going to put the black on, and there's going to be like peppers all over, like not pepper, like salt and pepper, like flecks all over the place. You'll go through and erase all that stuff, and then you can resubmit, and we'll be good to go. Okay. The last thing I have is for those of you that had issues where you're erasing and you accidentally erased like chunks of SpongeBob, like this. Okay. The problem with this is if you're working on SpongeBob and this happens right now, super easy. I just press Control-Z. I go back and it takes me back to what I accidentally erased. The problem is as soon as you save it, and then you reopen it, it doesn't remember that stuff anymore. Now it's gone. So what I need to do is I need to replace it. So, and this is for you to get your 2 that you have up to a 5. Your 2 in your grade up to a 5 to get an A. This is what we need to do. I'm going to come to my SpongeBob. It should look kind of like this. He's down in the same spot. I'm going to go File. I'm going slow so you guys can write this down and make sure you can do it at the same time. I'm going to go File, and then I'm going to go down to Place Embedded. Okay, File, Place Embedded, and I'm going to click. And when I click on that, it's going to get me to all of my files that I have. I'm going to find my original SpongeBob, and then I'm going to go Place. And then you see what happens is I have two layers now. I have my layer 0, and then I have my other SpongeBob layer right here. I'm going to take my new SpongeBob layer, drag it underneath, and now if I zoom into my problem areas, you'll see that when I turn the background layer off, turn that second SpongeBob layer off, my new one, I have big chunks out of my shorts and my foot. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do, and this is where it gets a little confusing, so I'm going to teach you a new tool because I'm going to go slow with this. Up on my layers, I should have a little tab next to it that says History. If you don't have that tab, go up to Window and find the word History. But that's what I'm going to go to. Make sure this works. I'm trying to find an easy way for you to do this. This is my history. Set to history. Here's here. Didn't work. Okay. Never mind. That didn't work. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my SpongeBob. I'm going to make sure I have my new SpongeBob layer selected. Down here, and this can work on Chromebook or the other one. I'm going to go to a new tool that I haven't showed you yet, and it's called your clone stamp. It's right beneath your paintbrush. There's a little picture of flowers there. Okay. Click on your clone stamp. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to find something. Oh, I haven't showed you guys this yet. I'm going to find something kind of the size of the cursor over here. So let me show you something real fast. You see on my thumbnail, there's this little gray box here, and it's not letting me edit this layer. It says could not use clone stamp because the area to clone has not been defined. I press OK, and it won't let me do anything to this. What I need to do, if you ever have a file that has this little gray thing on it, a lot of times it'll be a picture you download from the internet. So we get to our magazine cover and we're editing our magazine cover images. You might have this little triangle thing on it, or this little gray square. What you need to do is you need to rasterize it. Okay. I usually don't go over it unless it comes up like this. So you guys are kind of lucky in this situation. What I'm going to do is just right click on the layer. And this is weird because it's my original SpongeBob layer, so it shouldn't have this on it. But if yours did this, this is how you fix it. I right click on it. Then I come down to the middle where it says rasterize layer. I press OK. And that just gets rid of it, turns it into a regular picture. Okay. Back to my clone stamp tool. Clone stamp look like this. I want to make it about the same size as something else. So this circle and his eye works pretty well. I'll make the clone stamp about the same size as this. I will click it while holding Alt. This is where the tool gets confusing. And I'm going to post this again later so you can walk through this if you need to. I'm going to hold Alt and I'm going to click. And what that does is it says I'm going to stamp this wherever I decide to click later. So if I go like this over here, see that black dot, and I click, don't do this. If I go over here and I click and drag, see what happens is that cursor is moving on the eyeball to the left. It starts repainting whatever my cursor is copying over there. Kind of creepy, huh? Okay. So again, I'm going to reset it. I'm going to go Alt. I'm going to get this sized up correctly. I'm going to go Alt, click, and then I'm going to go back to my original SpongeBob layer that I had before. So this is the one that I was working on before. I'm going to go back to that same spot I was just at, and I'm going to click on it once and drag. Uh-oh. It's a little bit off. See, he's kind of sagging SpongeBob's eyeball. So I gotta do that one more time. A little bit higher. Try it one more time. Alt, click. I'm back here. Click. There you go. And now what I can do is I can come down to my shoe. And if I click and drag, it will repaint my shoe. If I click and drag here, it'll repaint my shorts because it's repainting it from this lower layer. I click here, it'll repaint my SpongeBob outline, and I can kind of fix up the old stuff that I missed before. Okay, that's a long process, I know, but that's why it's really important you do it correctly the first time through. So you don't have to come back and have to redo it with all these other steps on top of it, okay? So with that being said, there's everybody except for 3 of you have something to do today to get this going. I'm not going to get into the next step yet because I don't want to be sprinting ahead of everybody and you're not ready to go yet. So what we're going to do is for the rest of the class period, you're going to work on your SpongeBob. You're going to clean it up. If you've already turned it in, you're going to clean it up or you're going to fix it like this, and I'm going to hang out here and help you. I know a couple of you are having issues saving your stuff and turning it in as well, especially if you're on Chromebooks. I can be here to help you with that too. But the goal is to get everybody's assignments in today so we can move on to the next step tomorrow. We're moving on tomorrow no matter what. So get everybody's stuff in today so we can be on the same page and be ready to go from here on out. Okay. I know that was confusing. I'll try to post it as fast as possible. But any questions you guys have that apply to the stuff that I covered today?